we live meager and then we enjoy the fruit of it. Like being debt-free fully for us was a big celebration. This is a prayerless thing. So it's interesting when you start writing down your vision. I shared it with my team. I said, I want to do more ministry. And I said, right now, the finances keep us from doing more ministry. So we need to start believing God to provide for us so we're not always held down by ticket values and ticket sales.
Between the Grooves is hosted by James Curtis, music director and morning man in the Greater Toronto Area on Joy Radio, and Drew Brown, Juno-nominated singer-songwriter and worship leader. Both hope to share insights into Christian music, exploring ministry, message, and everything in between. You can connect with the show at faithstrongtoday.com/betweenthegrooves or via Twitter @betweengrooves. Now, here's James and Drew.
What was that? What was that? It's like, it's like,
no, can we keep that?
I don't know if it's hey, I just had a sip of coffee and I needed that, or
it was like a little stretch. I did a little stretch. I was like, ooh.
Or was it I just woke up, so I was going, it's Monday, or
or it's Monday. You know what it was? It was, welcome to Between the Grooves, your weekly look at music news and all the things between the grooves. The glues. The glues?
The glues?
That's what it sounded like I said.
Okay.
No, grooves. Definitely grooves. And today we have the incredible, the wonderful Danny Gokey and his wonderful, incredible wife as well.
Well, his wife Leyicet joining in on this conversation completely unexpected, which is
I mean, really, it was her conversation. She owned it. Let's just be honest.
Yeah. And
it's like Danny who.
Well, and can I say, it's great to chat with Danny, but then having his wife put him in his place, that's another great thing, right?
That's right.
So, we're going to chat with him about life at home over the last year. A kind of a behind the scenes look at Danny.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it really is.
We're going to get to that in just a bit. But before we do, speaking of Danny, he was one of our first guests on Between the Grooves 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's right. The problem I have with Danny, no, I was kidding. But one thing I've noticed about, sorry.
So it's okay. He doesn't hear you right now, so that's okay.
There we go. That's right. That's right. One of the things I when I think about Danny is I think about how we have elevated him to like king status. Now, what I mean by that is this: because it was such a wonderful interview, and because it was one of our earlier and sort of bigger guests, I'm using air quotes, bigger guests. It was such a really cool moment for us. It was kind of like a milestone moment for us as a show, as a team, as a duo. And so we always seem to drop his name, every once in a while in other conversations, other episodes.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
He was such like that was a cool moment, not just to hang out with him, but even hang out like the three of us, kind of like talk. And so looking back on that, it's funny to go like, oh, here we are again, having another chat. I'm really looking forward to this.
I think part of it, too, is because we had a great conversation with him 4 years ago, but we still converse with him every once in a while, not on the podcast, right? Where we run into him at a music festival or DMing back and forth. And so with all of that, it just seems, to me, it's a natural where his name just happens to pop up because we kind of had a conversation with him off air, a few months ago. In fact, this conversation that we're having with him, today's episode, it's been 8 months in the coming? Like 8 months that we've been preparing for this,
right.
Going back and forth, trying to arrange schedules, trying to nail down a time that worked for him and that worked for us. It went back and forth for months. Really, it did.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Man, oh man, oh man. What if you were going to say, this is like a random question. If you could think of another artist that's at that level of Danny Gokey within like the people that we've talked to over the years, what's another amazing, like, oh, that was such a great conversation? Because we had so many of them that sometimes I forget.
I was
forget of those conversations.
See, I thought you were leaning towards another artist who is at the I don't want to use the word caliber because that makes, that kind of, puts a number on it in a sense. But if I were to equate him to another artist, and it was a great conversation, that would be Torrin Wells.
Of course.
Right? Because I find the two of them very, very similar. And Torin does a lot of speaking stuff as well. I know Danny's recently been doing that as well in church. And so I would put them around the same. And then I would almost put like a Jasmine Murray in there as well.
That was good.
Partly because of the fact that all of these three names are really newer names, newer in the last 5-10 years versus, the name brands that have been out there forever, right? 20 years, 30 years that have been in the industry. So these are people that are kind of taking the mantle of CCM music and pushing it in a new direction. And that's what I feel for a Jasmine or a Torin Wells specifically, and Danny Gokey. And then of course even the newer ones, if you want to compare like the Zach Williams and Crowders. Yeah. But yet Crowder's not a new artist, right? Like
Yeah.
But all of those conversations were great conversations, if you talk about it from that standpoint.
When I think about like those conversations that we've had, like Crowder is definitely one of those, like that was such a funny, hilarious, not like just weird conversation with Crowder.
Yeah.
And then I really loved like Plum. I loved Darren from We Are Messengers, both of them, like so wonderful.
Yeah.
And was it a dream? Did we talk to Stephen Curtis Chapman?
That wasn't a dream. Yeah, we did chat with him.
It feels like a dream.
Yeah, I know.
When I look back, I remember seeing stars and angels appear and rainbows. It was just like one of those moments like, this can't be real. We're not talking to you.
Right. It's a lot of fun.
It is fun.
It is. I look forward to this every week where we have these conversations and we never know where it's going to go. And then, and then we're surprised at the end of it. It's like
every time.
Every single time. It's like I'm at a loss for words. Like, oh, that was good. Like I'm surprised. Like I'm shocked. Like I didn't expect that, but I didn't. Right?
Right.
Yeah. So, this is another great conversation. It's great to have Danny Gokey back on Between the Grooves. Like we mentioned earlier, it was about 4 years ago, like back in 2017, that he was last on the podcast. One of our first guests when we started this thing. And I can't believe that we're 197 episodes into this thing. 197. Can you believe that?
Oh my gosh.
And that's...
Wow.
197 distinct episodes. It's hard to believe. So we've had many, many guests because we rarely repeat guests. We've had a lot of people that we've chatted to, and it's not just artists. Wow. It's producers. Right. It's people in marketing, PR companies, whatnot. We've had those conversations, and we love having these conversations. So let's get to this conversation with Danny Gokey and, surprisingly, his wife joining in to set him straight a few times. Danny Gokey on Between the Grooves.
For a long time no talk.
For real, man. Long time.
Something like that. So the last time we actually chatted on this show, Danny, you were on your cell phone, you were walking your dogs, you had 2 kids, and your wife was very pregnant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this was in 2017, and now it's 4 kids and another on the way, I guess, right?
Wow, how dare you?
So, come on.
That was so good.
That's how rumors start. We got to start a rumor here. Come on.
That was a fantastic response. That was so good.
That's right. How does he know what we don't?
Yeah.
I've pounded a few steaks here and there, but I surely am not pregnant right now.
And I was not insinuating anything. I just trying to start a rumor here. Nothing to do with the steaks.
That was brilliant.
No, I was going to ask. I have a question for actually both of you. I'm curious. This pandemic has changed everybody's kind of like routines and home life and work life quite a bit. What has been some of the major changes in the way that you guys do life together? I mean, because you're now, generally speaking, sometimes you're home all the time, depending on, vaccines and all that kind of stuff. So what was the biggest change for you guys over the last year that you've noticed that you had to sort of pivot and adjust to?
I think for us, now I know Canada is much different than where we are in Nashville. And so
that's true.
Lockdowns that's kind of been a thing of the past. Past. For us, I mean, it's life kind of resumed normally, I think.
that what you think happened?
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not what happened. The kids all came home, and so I think every mom's workload tripled or quadrupled. There was no breaks, no nothing, because the kids were all home. I think, if anything, what it changed for us is Danny definitely. He had to do more stuff around the house, like, stuff. Different stuff. He just had to step up to the plate a little bit more with the kiddos and the cleaning. Well, because, listen, before, moms would get a break when the kids go to school, but now the kids being home all day, I mean, it's full on. They're just playing inside. That means more messes, more food, more cooking, more messes. I think it was hard on all of us, but like buckling down and having that family time, I just feel like I think for us, I know maybe Danny doesn't, because the workload went up so significantly, like when you're in times of trouble, you lean into your loved ones more. So I felt closer to Danny. I felt like we like had to rely on each other more. That's the perfect word. You had to rely on the people around you way more.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Was Danny pulling his weight, though?
Yes.
Probably not.
That was a really quick response from Danny. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
While she's talking, I'm looking at her like, what? This video, if this phone call was a video, you don't be surprised by my reaction. That's all I'm going to say.
It's nice to see the unity here. It's nice to see the unity between this couple. This is awesome.
I'm looking at her like, what do you mean? I get up early with the kids. I let you sleep. I do all. Now, for me, my schedule changed in the sense where I wasn't touring, but it was nice. I don't want to tour ever as much like that again before.
Danny, you strike me as a very focused person, no laughing here. I'm being serious, okay? Drew, am I being serious? Do I have a smile on my face? No, okay.
Yes.
So you strike me as somebody who's very focused, somebody who's very business-minded as far as an artist is concerned, even surrounding yourself with like-minded people. Has that been, first of all, is that true? Or is it really your wife that keeps you in check? And if it is true, how has the last year impacted you with the fact you weren't able to do live shows? I mean, yeah, it was great to be home, but your livelihood, it's stopped. It's been put on hold.
I mean, I will tell you this, like, I am a goal-oriented person. I'll set goals in my mind and obtain them. Like, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do in our business world, in our real estate, in our family. Here's what I want to get. I do that. Leyicet does help me in that, and I have team members, and managers, and agents who help me in that. But I do set goals, and it's interesting to see the goals that I've set and that we've accomplished through the years. Things that seemed impossible. That is a very big thing for me, and I really feel like we have accomplished something with that.
Go back to that focus part again. You mentioned.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my gosh.
I know that was
being called
back.
out.
That was good.
Like I said, if you saw video.
I know, y'all. I think you need a video.
Because when I told her I was focused, you should have seen her face.
Yeah, it's the rolling eyes emoji, right?
Yeah, exactly. It really is. Well, I mean, honey, think about it. I mean, we've accomplished our debt freedom. That was one of our recent goals that we just accomplished.
Yes.
Being out of debt. And
let me give you an example of one of how Danny's goals go. We see a property, we're like, man, this would be a great investment opportunity. All right, signing day, let's get a bunch of pictures. Next day, Danny leaves, and I'm here like, oh, how do I do this? Oh, I have to do a house now. Oh, okay. Then Danny gets home, and he's like, well, we need to fix this, and that. Okay, bye. And then
I'm a delegator. Visionary.
And then when it's all said and done, he's like, look what I've accomplished.
Right. That's right.
I love when he tells people, we flipped this house. I'm like, we did? Because you weren't there when I was flipping it.
Yeah, you called him out on a property. This one had to be a couple of years ago, where it was, I think it was just an empty piece of land, and you were going to build there or something like that. And Danny had posted something to his Instagram about the fact that, you know, here's a property that I've bought, and we're going to be building here, and here's the footings of everything that we're doing. And then you called him out on it.
Well, at least he's good looking, because I mean, at least the videos come out pretty. Grabbing
you guys are the best. Yeah. It's so good.
You guys want to go out for steak?
Yeah.
I'm totally into that. Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh no.
Now, back to a little bit of business here. I know you're obviously in Nashville. You're back to doing shows and stuff. You've the shows that you've done just recently, is that wrapped up now?
Yeah, I just got off the bus this morning. We just wrapped up the tour, and my voice is a little bit hoarse. I don't know if you can hear it.
Yeah,
I'm talking.
And so, what's next? I mean, we've heard in Canada, anyway, some of the early summer music festivals are not happening or being postponed and whatnot. What's happening? Your neck of the woods.
At this point, I'm not sure what's next. I mean, besides finishing up a single, I have a single that I'm getting ready to release in May. I just released some songs off my new record. The song's called "We All Need Jesus." It's actually the first song off the new record that we're showcasing. And I released the Spanish version of it, "Cristo es Necesario."
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So the album's going to take full precedent right now.
Okay. And then what about shows to coincide with, song releases?
Maybe not shows to coincide with song releases, but the album release we're going to set up. It comes out August 6th, the album. So that'll be more around the time.
Right. Okay. And have you got summer gigs lined up?
Man, I don't know. My bus driver ended up asking me that this morning. I said, I have no idea what's happening this summer.
We're talking focus here. Come on.
Well, the good thing when you have, remember you said you have team members that help you?
Yeah.
My team members put it all on my calendar. And I get reminders from them. Hey,
it's pretty empty right now.
Yeah, it is pretty. My calendar is pretty empty right now, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense coming off a mini tour and doing a whole bunch of concerts and stuff. It makes sense to have some downtime now so that you can get back into helping your kids with online learning if they're still at home. Certainly,
that's right.
Contributing to the family element, the important stuff that maybe you weren't able to contribute to as much before, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think for me, ever since the pandemic, I love being home. Whereas before, I loved being out touring, and I loved being home. But after this, I did a 12-city tour right now, and I'm gonna tell you, I was like, you know what? That was a long tour for me. That's what it felt like.
Yeah,
touring. I can imagine that touring might be like that for a lot of artists. I'm assuming, but because being home, being able to kind of be more present with the family, being away for a tour just hurts. Even hurts is not the right word, but you know what I'm saying. You feel the effects of that even more now. That would be so strange. I'm looking forward to touring again, but I'm also not looking forward to touring again. Being away and being vacant would feel so much heavier than usual.
Yeah. Yep, that's for sure.
Can we talk about, I was going to say, can we talk a little bit about the whole, and I think we even talked a little bit about this in the first time we chatted on Between the Grooves a few years back, Danny. But let's talk, and I think at that time we were talking about being debt-free and everything else, and I think you told us a story about how you decided you were going to buy the bus instead of, renting all the time or borrowing or whatever else, just the cost, the ongoing costs that you would incur with that. So you decided, I'm just going to go and buy the bus instead. And that's the one thing I admire. That's the one thing that my wife and I have done too, is get through, what we have to do to get totally debt free, whether it be mortgage or credit card payments or whatever else. It's been a big thing for me. And part of the reason for me is because that's how I was able to get back into radio, because radio doesn't make tons of money, and so the only way I could, because I honestly, I made a lot more money being out of radio than being in radio, but being in radio, it's just that love and that passion. And so the only way I was able to do that is to get totally debt free. Can you tell us about that journey that you guys had?
Yeah. So This started back in a semi when I was driving a semi, worshiping at a church back in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Just living very not having much. And I listened to Dave Ramsey, and Dave Ramsey really started a fire in me. He actually irritated me first and made me angry because I didn't like how he talked to people. And I didn't like his whole philosophy. But I had to admit at one point he was correct. And so that journey started at that point, getting me debt free with just my car. That's years ago. And then when I met Mary Leyicet, I just felt convicted to sell the house that we had because we had debt on it, and we just lost I just lost my record deal. This is back in 2011. So I ended up selling that house and buying a smaller house cash. And that sustained us that year, not having a house payment, because I was trying to figure out the whole music scene. I'd been dropped from a record label. Well, we just started from that point on doing other investments, utilizing the equity in the home, and then just building up. And I think when I talked to you in 2017, we were just on the cusp of getting debt free.
Yes.
And we got debt free where we at in that moment. I think it was 2018 when I fully was debt free. I remember that day.
Right.
And then God ended up presenting us another opportunity with the house that we're in now. So we got back into debt, and we went back into that mode of just rolling the equity into this house and starting again. So literally it was just beginning of April that we got fully debt free again. But it's a mindset where we don't drive the nicest cars. We don't have the nicest furniture in our house. We don't have the nicest X, Y, and Z. And we live meager, and then we enjoy the fruit of it. Like being debt free fully for us, that just happened this month, was a big celebration. And now I just was able to buy a sound system that I can tour with. So I just use it for this last tour because going to churches, that was one of the things I put on my prayer list this year. I want a sound system. And I was still believing for a bus. And James, I got to tell you, I just got the sound system, and I just got word I'm getting a bus. Someone's buying me a bus. And those were things I put on my prayer list for years. And God answered that prayer this year where they're buying me a brand new bus, and I'm not paying for it.
That is awesome.
This is a prayer list thing. So it's interesting when you start writing down your vision. I shared it with my team. I said, I want to do more ministry. And I said, right now, the finances keep us from doing more ministry. So we need to start believing God to provide for us so we're not always held down by ticket values and ticket sales.
Right.
And that's what happened.
That's so good. So good.
Praise God. That's it.
Yeah. I'm curious about it's really cool that the idea of writing things down and just, making it plain, bringing it to God. That's a very, very important task, an important part of just a good routine to have. I'm curious about your creative routine. I know the album is coming out, in August, and now you're kind of in this. Okay, so the album's coming out. There's going to be more dates coming up. That's cool. What do you do creatively to kind of keep things rolling? Do you continue to write songs? So you're a pretty creative guy. What else do you do to kind of keep that creative part of you sharp?
I think God is the greatest artist, entertainer, lyricist of all time. And I think maintaining the connection with him is the basics. Maintaining your connection with God. I mean, the simplest form is that. And how do we do that? You get around the Word of God. You get around people who are godly. You let the Word of God in you, because the Word of God will unleash creativity in you when you start realizing how God thinks of you and the potential that we have.
You had I'll say a young kid. What's his name again? He was opening for you on this recent tour.
Kobe James. That's
right. We had him on the show last fall, maybe.
Yeah.
What a genius that guy is.
Yeah, he is.
He's a guy that produces all his own stuff, writes great lyrics, and he has a lot of fun doing that stuff. He's got a producer, but I don't know what he needs a producer for, because he kind of does it all himself anyways.
He does it all himself.
Yeah.
He's a great guy, an awesome kid, 19 years old. He's going to be a force to reckon with in the future.
Yeah.
He's just getting into it right now. And at 19 years old, I was leading worship at my youth group. I wasn't an artist producing anything.
Yeah. I got to say, the one thing I admire too is you always surround yourself with people that are brilliant at their own trade. I'll give you an example of that. You were in Toronto doing a concert, I'll say a couple of summers ago, maybe. And at one point, people in the audience were shouting out song requests like, hey, do this song. And, oh, hey, do this song. And at one point, somebody threw out a song that like was one of your older songs, like from a few years back. And it was very obvious. I mean, I could tell just sitting there, I could tell that the band really didn't know the song. And I remember I think it was your keyboardist finally was able to bring up the tracks on the computer for it. And then as you started to sing the song, now you wouldn't have seen this, but I saw this. As you were started to sing the song, the keyboardist was yelling out the notes for the bass player and the guitar player, B, E or whatever, and just yelling it. And I could see that. Nobody else would have noticed that. I'm thinking, wow, these guys are so talented that they could jump right in and basically perform a song they've never done before in their life. That was awesome.
Yep, and actually what they were doing was the number system. They were throwing out numbers.
I was just going to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. It's probably numbers, yeah.
Yep, the 1, 3, 5.
Yeah.
That's how they, with me as the lead artist, that's how they pretty much do that every show, because I'll go in a different direction. Often.
Oh, so it wasn't unique in Toronto with somebody making song requests like that.
Yeah, that was unique that day. But other days, I'll just sometimes pivot during the show and go somewhere else.
Right. And how often do you start singing a song that you don't even have necessarily any tracks for?
Oh, I did it last night at my show.
All the time.
There we go.
Right.
When I was a worship pastor, I would do the exact same thing. If the singer was going off and doing, something spontaneous, I would just I had a little mic and I would just talk to my band. Hey, let's go to 3.
Yep.
Let's go back to 2.
Yep.
Let's go. Such a great way to lead, an easy way to kind of keep things moving forward together.
There's a lot that can happen on stage, but the thing that the best part is when you play so long together that they know where you're going to go.
Yeah.
And they can read you better. And I like when we get there.
What about your kids? Any musical talent in the ranks?
My son Danny is a great singer, and Victoria is growing into that. And Gabriel, I think all of them have musical talent, just to be honest. All of them.
Anything worth recording yet, or?
I recorded my son on my Christmas album.
Okay.
I told my son I wanted to sing on it. He said no. I said, well, don't you want to be a singer like Daddy? No. Well, what do you want to be? I just want to be a dad. Okay. And I said this. I said, well, please sing on Daddy's record. No, I don't want to. Please? No. I'll give you $100. Okay.
$100? I'll do that for $100 too. Danny, you want me to sing on your next album? I'll do it for $100. I don't charge a lot.
I'll have to get back to you, James.
I'll get back to you. My people will call you. Yeah, great. I know what that means. Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot. Drew, you've done that with your kids, where Drew's kids are musically inclined as well, and in their spare time, and I've seen you post this, Drew, where they're recording stuff for fun. They're spending some time doing multi-tracking, and whether it's a rap or spoken word or whatever else, and obviously you've helped them a little bit.
I've helped them in terms of, supplying the gear and teaching them how to use it. And, as a resource in terms of does it sound good? But I try and make sure that they are doing their own thing the way they want to.
Right.
I want to make sure that even if it's going south,
right.
Let them just enjoy the process of it all. And then I'm like, yeah, we can try and change this. But I try and stay hands off. I mean, even when we started this call, they were next door learning a bunch of songs. They want to do a bunch of covers on YouTube.
Right.
And so they're just learning the chords and learning how to sing it and learning syncopation. And I try to support them as much as I possibly can in all the arts. Just give them all the toys. Go for it, kids.
Sure. With your son recording a little bit for your Christmas album, does that mean he gets ongoing royalties?
No. He gets ongoing food and boarding at the house.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
My kids are a little older, and so they're working now part-time at a grocery store. And can I tell you, I love rent money.
Yeah, amen.
Because they're teenagers and they eat a lot, and so if they're able to help support, the family a little bit, that's great. So, and you've got 4 kids. I mean, can you imagine when they're old enough? Well,
I'll tell you this. Yes, and they eat a lot as it is. But I think one of the greatest things you can do is begin to teach kids responsibility through those finances.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's right.
I'm a big proponent of that. When they, at a young age, if they learn to respect money and learn that things cost money, and you know what I mean, that not someone's always going to foot the bill, they usually become more savvy when they're older with finances and respect finances and create a better living for their life because of that. When they learn the cost of something at a young age, I'm telling you, it's going to benefit the rest of their life.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do is not teach someone the value of something.
Yeah.
The value of, I don't know, you look at David in the Bible, and when he's ready to give a sacrifice to God, one of the people wanted to give him the land that he wanted to buy as a sacrifice, and David said, I'm not going to give God something that costs me anything. That doesn't cost me anything.
Right.
And so I just think like there's value in cost, and value is established. And so I wish someone would have taught me that. And I learned a little bit from my parents, but my parents' generation was the one that they were taught to get in debt. They were taught by the system to go into debt and go in as much debt as you can.
My parents are a little older, and they were in the just post World War II, and for them it was frugalness. It was don't spend any money on anything, and even to this day, where very, very careful with their finances, and might have money in the bank but don't want to spend it just in case. And there's nothing wrong with that either. But, my mom is of the age now where it's like, enjoy your life, go on the trip, visit your friends on the other side of the country. You've got the money, do it,
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's not meant to put you in bondage either.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Listen, I know you guys are busy, and I really appreciate the time that you guys have spent with us.
Mm-hmm.
I hear your wife's back in the car, so we have to be very careful.
Yep.
I got my morning donut, guys. We can start.
Oh my gosh!
Did you get one for Danny at least?
No.
I didn't want one.
Oh, okay. Drew,
I put on a few pounds doing this tour.
well,
Yeah, fair enough.
that's why you went to the gym right before your family showed up, right?
Yeah, exactly. I better work off what I've been
Put on a
eating.
few pounds during this marriage.
Oh. So,
I'd be mad, but
marriage counseling 101. Talk to Danny.
Next on the next episode of
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Thank you both for all your time. Had a lot of fun chatting. It was great to connect again, and look forward to seeing you hopefully in the near future in person again, Danny.
well, thank you guys for your time, and I appreciate all the support you give me. I really do.
Of course. Yeah, it's always good chatting with you, but it's also good to kind of hear some ideas and opinions and stories from both of you as a couple. That definitely is
right.
a beautiful dynamic.
That's
right.
I love it. It was
See how she jumped in
really,
right there?
really great. Oh yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. It was
Yeah.
great. Next time, Danny, you just don't show up, and we'll just
I know. I'm just gonna let you guys
Yeah.
have your moment.
It's all in your-
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that'd be great. Thanks for that.
see you guys over a steak soon.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
See
Take
you.
Yes,
care.
please.
That was fun. When you can get an artist's wife on the phone, then you hear what it's really like.
Yeah,
Right,
the
you-
truth.
Yeah, the truth
That's right.
comes out, yeah, and they're a fun couple anyways. I've seen them
Yeah, they
before.
are.
They've done stuff together, whether it be appearances at radio stations or online. They're hysterical to watch on social media. They really are. I enjoy, I get a kick out of seeing what they've got to post and some of their family moments and just, just showing each other up, that sort of thing. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's good. Like I enjoy having these conversations where we can talk about the art and stuff like that. But having both of them there, we had a greater glimpse of what happens behind the scenes, and it was really cool to kind of hear both of their perspectives, like what it's really like at home. Because for many artists, it's a totally different world now, being home and present, and sometimes what happens as a couple, their ownership of certain tasks would change.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The balance is sort of off and different and unique to every couple. And so I enjoyed having both of them present. It wasn't something that I expected. It was a complete surprise, and it actually made the conversation so much sweeter.
I love those guys. They are so down to earth. They really are. And it's nice to hear that from him. We always get into these conversations, these deep, moving moments. And we do have those moments with Danny as well, but just having some fun with all of this as well. And his wife participating in the conversation, I think was something unexpected, but something that was great. And I really, really enjoyed that.
If you want more information on Mr. Daniel, you can hit him up on DannyGokey.com. Find out all the details right there on music and social media, all that kind of stuff.
And let's get to Artist Advice, bringing back a previous guest from last year, Andrew Horrocks.
First thing, practice. Learn your instrument. be good at your instrument or be a great singer. Don't just be a good singer. And secondly, be honest with your music. Allow your creativity and your passions. Write about your passions. Write about what you love and what you believe in.
Practice.
Mm-hmm.
His first point, practice. It's fine to spend all the time that you do building up your profile, whether it be on social media or amongst other artists, but you got to be good at what you do, and you got to continue. Like the practicing never stops. You keep,
right.
You have to keep getting better, because quite frankly, there's a lot of competition out there, and other people are getting better as well.
Yeah. Especially in these days, in these pandemic days, I find a lot of people are sitting at home just honing their craft.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching YouTube, I'm watching TikToks and all this stuff, and there's these young kids coming up, and they're just shredding, way better than most of the guys I know. And so like practice really does make perfect, or at least it makes better. Yeah. And so it's very important. Whether you're a singer or a writer or a guitar, it doesn't matter. The more that you do it, the better you become.
My brother Fred, who's a pastor, and he's a guitar player.
Yeah, he is. Good one. Great one.
A great one.
Yeah.
Can I tell you, when we were teenagers, we were both working retail. I was working at a hardware store, and he was working at, one of these big box type stores. And he was at one time the manager of the electronics department. And by manager, it didn't mean he made any more money. It just meant that, okay, you've been here the longest, so now you're in charge of the employees that work in that department. Well, he quit his job when he was at that store, and it drove me nuts, because I'm still working retail, because I'm trying to, pay bills. Even single, living at home, you've still got bills and things to worry about. I was going to college and whatever. He quits his job, and he just strums on his guitar all day, practicing. So if you think he's good, well, he practiced.
Yeah.
Right. That's exactly what Andrew has mentioned here is just getting practicing, getting better and better and better. And you have to keep raising the bar. You have to keep raising that ceiling, because, like I said, there's always somebody out there that's going to be good, and there's going to be people out there that are really, really talented that will just blow you away, and they've only picked up an instrument for a couple of months or something like that.
That's right. So, exactly.
Yeah. So. Yeah, great advice from Andrew Horrocks, and so much appreciate Danny and his wife Leyicet joining us on Between the Grooves. And that is it for this week. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. It lets you know whenever we have new episodes available every Monday. Don't forget to leave us a rating as well and a review, because that just helps us reach more people all the time.
That's right. And hey, if you're a social media person, if you enjoy those things, we are on Facebook and Twitter. You can find us at Between Grooves on both platforms. We hope to see you there. We hope to see you next time right here on Between the Grooves.